Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. It's time to resume the lore of Inuyasha with Part 3. If you haven't watched the previous entries, please do so before continuing. Last we left off, a weakened Naraku has taken refuge at Mount Hakure. To protect himself, Naraku needs the help of the Band of Seven, a group of mercenaries so dangerous they were captured, beheaded, and enshrined in a tomb to calm their bloodlust. Using jewel shards, Naraku resurrects them to keep Inuyasha at bay while he completes his transformation. The weakest of the bunch, a giant named Gyokotsu, begins to attack various wolf clans. Kohaku, under Naraku's orders, tries to keep the idiotic giant in line. Still, after messing with the wolves, Gyokotsu is inevitably attacked by Koga. In a matchup of speed versus brawn, Koga pulls out a victory by extracting the giant's jewel shard, causing the first of seven to crumble into a pile of bones. As Inuyasha's group ascends the mountain, they encounter others of the Band of Seven, namely Jakotsu, who fights with a segmented blade that can lash like a snake, Mukotsu, who uses a gaseous poison, the armored berserker Ginkotsu, the manipulative monk Renkotsu, and the bipolar Suikotsu. Kikyo nearly dies this high up on the mountain because her soul collectors can't reach her. She has to remain lower on the mountain while the others journey on. The same thing happens to Full Demon Shippo and Kilala, leading Inuyasha to suspect Naraku might not even be in there. If the mountain purifies evil, how the hell could their arch-nemesis thrive up there? The Band of Seven is eager to take revenge on the general that had them executed and charges the Lord's gates. The Seven's leader, Bankotsu, steals back the castle treasure, his own halberd Banryu, and uses it to behead the general. The band chills in the castle, now strewn with corpses, until Koga and later Inuyasha show up to fight. During their bout, Inuyasha gains the upper hand over Bankotsu, while Koga handles the others. However, the battle is broken up by one of Naraku's Kugutsu, or demon puppets. Inuyasha notices the Kugutsu smells of flowers, indicating that it was created at a part of the mountain where flowers are prevalent. Following the scent of flowers, Inuyasha finds the monk Hakushin's shrine at Hijiri Island. A barrier around the island itself weakens Inuyasha as he fights Bankotsu once more, and only survives when Miroku and one of Hakushin's descendants, Shintaro, shatter the barrier with Hakushin's staff. Following Kohaku's scent, Sesshomaru also ascends the mountain. Between the combatants, all but 3 of the Band of Seven survive. Miroku and Sango are able to continue deeper into the mountain, but when Inuyasha attempts this, he reverts back to his human form. This puts Inuyasha in danger, but thankfully he is saved when Miroku and Sango are able to find Hakushin's undead corpse and weaken the barrier. This allows Inuyasha to put his all into a fight against Jakotsu and win, but at this point, the Band of Seven are turning against each other. While Inuyasha lets Jakotsu live, Renkotsu does not. Renkotsu betrays the Seven, stealing Jakotsu's jewel shard, only to find himself easily killed by Bankotsu. As such, Inuyasha and the band's leader are left to conduct a final battle. The weakened barrier around the mountain lets in more demons, and during the fight, Bankotsu slays his 1000th demon with Banryu. The weapon reaches its maximum strength, but also begins to emit red demonic energy with each swing. This proves ideal for Inuyasha, who turns the energy around with his backlash wave. Finally, the Band of Seven are no more. Sadly though, it is time for Naraku's new body to awaken. The cave walls turn to flesh, absorbing the party. This new form of Naraku is his most powerful. He steals back the shards he gave to the Band of Seven, as well as all the shards Kagome had collected to this point, uniting them into a nearly complete Shikon jewel. He declares his first mission in his new body, to try and kill Kikyo. Beforehand, he makes some critical decisions. Naraku separates his heart from his body, sending it with Kagura as his 7th incarnation. His heart takes the form of an infant, and so long as the child survives, Naraku's body is practically immortal. He also abandons his human aspect on the mountain, feeling that Onigumo's feelings for Kikyo will inhibit him. No longer burdened, Naraku can finally kill Kikyo without hesitation. Alongside a torrent of corrosive miasma, he leaves the crumbling caverns and fights Kikyo further down. He impales her upon his claws and tosses her into the miasma. Sesshomaru witnesses this before having his own go at Naraku, so when Inuyasha arrives, he learns of Kikyo's death and blames himself for being unable to protect her. He tries to take his anger out on Sesshomaru, but is forced to confront the harsh truth that he wasn't there for her. Entrusted with the infant, Kagura aims to pursue the very last unknown shard of the Shikon Jewel. Technically, there are 4 shards that have yet to be united, including 2 in Koga's possession, and the one keeping Kohaku alive. Kagura knows Kagome can sense the shards, and kidnaps her in hopes of harnessing that ability. The infant searches Kagome's heart for any sign of darkness, and discovers her jealousy toward Kikyo. He uses this envy to control her. Thankfully, Kagome is able to resist this control long enough for Inuyasha to come and rescue her. Once more, the two are confronted by the fact that Inuyasha can't help but care for Kikyo, and Kagome still loves him in spite of that. Also seeking the final shard, Naraku consults with the demon Mimi Senri, known to have hearing so keen he can listen in on the entire world. He tells Naraku that the shard he seeks is located in the borderland between this world and the afterlife. In other words, the border of the afterlife, the same place Inuyasha's father decided to keep his tomb. Meanwhile, Inuyasha's party enters a village of women who have been possessed by a salamander demon. Sango finds herself a victim of the salamander's control, and only manages to escape due to Miroku's sacred sutras. All this time, Miroku and Sango have been very close, but because of Miroku's promiscuity, his affections seem less sincere. He finally corrects this by declaring his love for Sango, asking her to bear him many children. In tears, Sango accepts this proposal, even though Miroku's reluctant to give up his days of womanizing. This is roughly where the third movie, Swords of an Honorable Ruler, takes place. It mostly tells the story of the great dog general Toga's backstory and how it affects his sons. Remember that evil sword Sounga that was sealed in the Bone Eater's well after Toga's death? Well, that seal breaks, causing the spirit Saya to seek Inuyasha's aid. The evil sword goes to the grave of Takemaru, the samurai who hated Toga, and revives him from dirt and bones to take revenge upon Toga's sons. Takemaru resurrects an army of the undead, and antagonizes Inuyasha and Sesshomaru by going after Kagome and Rin respectively. Stubborn, the two brothers refuse to cooperate, despite both their swords being needed to destroy Sounga. As Izayoi's child, however, Inuyasha is able to remind Takemaru of her kindness. Takemaru realizes that Izayoi wanted to protect him, even as he killed her, and he accepts the weight of his sins by returning to the earth. The sword, however, is still at large. It opens a portal to the Netherworld, and to stop it from spreading, the two brothers finally combine their attacks, the Backlash Wave and Dragon Strike, to overcome the Dragon Twister, and cast Sounga to the void. Resuming the main narrative, Naraku's group searches for the border of the afterlife. Kagura and the infant go around slaughtering monks and priests, before encountering the powerful monk Shinsen. As they fight, Shinsen succeeds in splitting the infant in two before dying. Half of the infant is sent with Kana to be given back to Naraku, while the other half remains with Kagura. The half under Kagura's care grows into Naraku's 8th incarnation, the child Hakudoshi. Serving Naraku, Hakudoshi searches for the borderland by beheading many demons, inspired by having seen a land of white mist and bones during his creation. Similarly, one of these beheaded demons is revived by Tenseiga and tells Inuyasha's group that he saw the land of white mist during the time his head was off. The demon's description reminds Inuyasha and Kagome of Toga's tomb. Problem is, the black pearl they used to get there in the first place no longer works. Myoga and Totosai tell Inuyasha to seek out Hosenki, the demon who first made the thing. They manage to find Hosenki's son, only to learn that creating another black pearl would take 100 years. Ain't got no time for that. Hakudoshi, on the other hand, discovers that one can enter the Netherworld through a portal in the realm of fire. He intentionally has Kagura leak this info to Inuyasha, hoping to have Inuyasha do the dirty work of defeating the portal's guardians. Sure enough, there is a gateway present in the realm of fire, but it proves worthless after everyone sees demons turning to stone as they try to enter it. Back to the drawing board. Naraku recruits the help of a bird yokai named Princess Abby. Her mother is dying from poison, and she's been treating it with human blood. In exchange for her help, Naraku promises to collect more blood for her. Inuyasha's party discovers that Kikyo may still be alive, acting under the alias Saint Hijiri. Following Hijiri's trail leads them to Kikyo's Shinigami, who in turn lead them to Kikyo at the base of a waterfall. Indeed, Kikyo survived, but she's unconscious and is severely injured by Naraku's miasma. Kagome is told that she's the only one who can save Kikyo, and so she ventures into the waterfall and attempts to purify her romantic rival. After some initial struggle, the purification works, and while Kikyo leaves the group once more, she does so knowing that the purification would have failed if Kagome had doubts. As thanks for saving her, Kikyo calls Inuyasha and his friends to discuss the last shard of the Shikon Jewel. She gives Kagome one of her sacred arrows for the confrontation, before Naraku makes the first move. He betrays Abby and her mother Teke, killing them both while declaring he's found a way to the Netherworld. Naraku rides on a river of Teke's blood to the Netherworld, prompting Inuyasha's party to follow him. There, they find the demon Hosenki who first made the Black Pearl. While guarding the last jewel shard, it becomes corrupted, compelling him to fight Inuyasha. Arriving late to the party, Sesshomaru learns from Kagura that he can still get to the Netherworld if he goes back to the Realm of Fire. While it turns other demons to stone, he can make the trip thanks to wielding Tenseiga. Inuyasha and Kagome continue fighting Hosenki, which corrupts the final shard enough for Naraku to take it with his tentacles. Having succeeded, Naraku prepares to leave Inuyasha's group in the Netherworld for all eternity, but is thwarted when Sesshomaru arrives through his own route. Of course, he's not here to save Inuyasha. Rather, the two are just lucky to be sharing a common enemy. Hosenki, no longer corrupted, asks Inuyasha to slay him and have Tessaiga absorb his power. Inuyasha tries, but cannot shatter Hosenki's thick skull. Thus, when Naraku's miasma begins to threaten Kagome and the others, he abandons his attempts to instead protect his friends. Ironically, this makes Tessaiga stronger, able to absorb Hosenki's power without him dying. The result is Adamant Barrage, a technique that unleashes shards of diamonds sharp enough to destroy even Naraku's barrier. Inuyasha's attempt to save his friends winds up splintering Naraku. Powerless, Naraku is torn apart by Sesshomaru, giving Kagome an opportunity to fire Kikyo's sacred arrow at the remaining jewel shard. The purified shard lights up, and Naraku disappears. They wonder if Naraku is finally dead, and claim the shard for themselves. Turns out, so long as Naraku's heart remains, he can continually resurrect. The bastard even gets to keep the incomplete Shikon jewel. So the status quo is practically returned. While Naraku appears immortal, he is unable to protect himself from his one weakness, the infant that serves as his heart. To mask the infant's demonic energy, Naraku steals the Fuyoheki, or demonic sealing stone, from a rock demon named Gakusanjin. The stone allowed Gakusanjin to remain in the mountains undisturbed, so he's pretty pissed Naraku stole it. Thus, after Inuyasha's group convinces him they aren't on Naraku's side, he gives them crystal shards that can detect the demon sealing stone. Sadly, Hakudoshi steals them almost immediately. At this point, I have to reveal that both the infant and Hakudoshi have decided to overthrow Naraku. They don't tell anyone for a while, and keep it a secret through their telepathic communication while pretending to serve Naraku. Their first step in this rebellion is creating a stronger form of the infant to inhabit like a suit of armor. To create it, Hakudoshi's been slaying and joining together various demons, resulting in a composite demon called Moriomaru. To give it a humanoid form, Moriomaru attacks a nearby village and tries to merge with its leader, a demon hunter named Goryomaru. Accidentally, Moriomaru winds up fusing with Goryomaru's arm, turning into a large energy cannon. When Inuyasha's group first meets Goryomaru, they decide to help him protect his village from hordes of attacking demons. Meanwhile, Kagura returns to Sesshomaru once more, placing her hopes on him being the one to finally slay Naraku. She gives him one of the crystals that can find Naraku's heart. She then goes to Hakudoshi, who is attacking Goryomaru to free his creation. He uses his halberd to mortally wound Goryomaru, and having succeeded, orders Kaguya to fight Inuyasha. Instead, she leads the party to where she believes Naraku is hiding, inside the stomach of an old stone demon. Of course, this is a trap set by Naraku. He knew Kagura was trying to betray him, and used this as an opportunity to seal Inuyasha's group inside the demon's stomach as it returns to life. Naraku hopes that they will be digested within the demon, leaving nothing but the final shard they possess. Desperate to survive, they give Inuyasha their last shard, hoping to power Tessaiga enough to break through the demon's shell. Sadly, it becomes corrupt by the demonic energy. To prevent this, Kagome steps into the stomach acid and holds Inuyasha. She begs him to return to his senses, in turn purifying the shard. She continues to embrace him while he uses the powered Tessaiga to tear a hole through the stomach. Hooray! The party returns to Kaede's village to recover from their wounds. There, Inuyasha and Kagome reaffirm their desire to be by each other's side while fighting Naraku. This is where the original anime ends, on a rather terrible cliffhanger, but we have the benefit of time and can proceed straight on to Inuyasha the final act. Before that, however, let's look at the final Inuyasha movie, Fire on the Mystic Island. It takes place around Horai Island, formerly a paradise of sorts for half-demons to live in peace without being discriminated against. The island was protected by a time barrier that kept it constantly hidden. It was fueled by a giant furnace, the Cauldron of Resonance, that derived power from the combined energy of humans and demons coexisting peacefully. This maintained the barrier continually, except for short intervals every 50 years, where the island was left exposed. During this time, the island would be attacked by various demons, and the island's people relied on their priestess, Lady Kanade, to ward off evil. However, she was overpowered when 4 demons calling themselves the 4 War Gods attacked. She could not defeat them, and instead sacrificed her life to seal much of their power away in 4 orbs, kept locked inside within the cauldron. The 4 War Gods remained on the island trying to find a way to restore their former power, and discovered that by sacrificing the island's residents to the cauldron, they could reabsorb small bits of their power each time. Thus, those 50-year lapses became opportunities for the demons to cast the islanders into the cauldron's pit, where they were burned away, each sacrifice having their soul reduced to a glowing light that lingers across the island. Obviously, the islanders tried to escape, but the war gods sliced into their backs markings that prevented them from passing through a barrier around the island. 50 years prior to the main story, Inuyasha and Kikyo went to the island to free the few remaining half-demon children. But during the encounter, Inuyasha incurred the mark of the war gods, and Kikyo's blood was siphoned by the demon Gora. Thus, Inuyasha couldn't go any deeper, else he'd be trapped within the barrier, and so he and Kikyo left the island. Over those 50 years, the war gods used the blood they took from Kikyo to make a doppelganger of her, which they hoped would be able to retrieve the box containing their orbs and return their powers. The youngest child on the island, Ai, has yet to receive the war god's scar on her back, and uses this chance to escape. Inuyasha and the gang find Ai on the run and step in to rescue her. In order to save the other children, they head back to the island, entering the barrier such that Inuyasha must slay the war gods before he can leave again. The eldest living child, Asaki, is next in line to be sacrificed, but Inuyasha saves her within his arms. The hair of the fire rat protects them from the cauldron's flames, and Lady Kanade's lingering spirit entrusts Inuyasha with her remaining power as well as the box. Unfortunately, this is when the war gods unleash their Kikyo doppelganger. She steals the box and deceives Inuyasha. Luckily, he is saved when the real Kikyo shows up and kills the doppelganger, remarking how foolish Inuyasha is for falling for such a pathetic abomination. The four war gods regain their power from the sealed box, and take to attacking Inuyasha's party, as well as Sesshomaru, who also gets branded by their mark. One by one, the four war gods are slain, with the final one combining together into a single demon. To defeat him, Kagome fires off a sacred arrow in conjunction with Inuyasha's backlash wave and adamant barrage. The cauldron collapses, causing the island to crumble, allowing Inuyasha's group and the surviving children to finally escape. With that, part 3 of this video series has come to an end. Look forward to the final part soon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and, most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of my anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content. If you want to support me directly, there are now 3 ways that all provide the same benefits. You can click Join here on YouTube, or join Patreon or Subscribestar for access to exclusive vids and early access. As always, celebrate your fandom.